Hi everyone, what's going on? Paul here at Safari Reptiles, and I've decided that we're going to do a reptile room tour. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. It's been at least over a year. So we're going to look at every single animal that we're working with here at Safari Reptiles. So it'll obviously have to be in a couple different parts because we have a lot of animals. So today we're going to look at the hatchling rack. I just cleaned the hatchling rack recently. We just had the Reptile Expo at Point Claire that passed recently. So we moved a lot of animals out. We made room for the hatchlings to come in 2019. So I hope you guys enjoy this first part of the reptile room tour video of late 2018, early 2019. It depends. I'm hoping that I could get all the videos done before the end of 2019, but you never know. I don't know if you guys hear that in the background. We have a Amazon parrot making all kinds of weird noises. So if that bothers you, I apologize in advance. Please subscribe to Safari Reptiles, or I should say subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow Safari Reptiles on Instagram, and also on Facebook, Safari Reptiles, across all social media platforms. Thanks guys, let's start this video. Alright guys, here we go. So I just mentioned that I'm going to try to get these videos up before the end of 2019. Obviously I meant 2018. Gotta set the bar at least a little bit higher than 14 months to get one series of videos out. So let's start here at the bottom. Take a look at what we got here. This is a male spotted python, and believe it or not, this dude is not far off of being ready to breed. These guys are really nice animals. I enjoy them quite a bit. I find them pretty bulletproof as compared to other boids that are of similar size, namely ball pythons. You know, ball pythons nowadays, you know, people don't really have problems getting ball pythons to eat, but I tell you what, you never have problems with when it comes to feeding, and that's spotted pythons. These guys are voracious eaters. They basically will eat anything, including taking a shot at your hand, unfortunately, when they're young. But typically at around this size, I would say even smaller, even the size of the female that you're going to see here in a second, they kind of start to calm down, but they do have killer feeding responses. So obviously, you know, don't do weird stuff. Don't go in their cages at night and, like, you know, wave your hand in front of their face. They'll read that heat signature and try to grab you. But, you know, they stay small enough that it won't really hurt too much. You'll bleed a bit, but, you know, it ain't gonna give you stitches or anything like that. So right here is the female. She's actually quite a bit nicer. You can see she's a little bit brighter. Now that is to be expected. Typically most snakes are brighter when they're babies and they kind of dull out as they get older. This is especially the case with ball pythons. But this animal, I'd be surprised if she gets as dark as that male. And that male actually looks like he might be going through a shed pretty soon. So somebody said, I think on one of my videos a little while ago, that they had a spotted python and they wanted tips on handling them down. Well, you know, typically if you have a snake that's a little bit defensive, that's going to strike out at you, you really just kind of have to roll with the punches, roll with the bites in this case, and, you know, show the snake that it doesn't bother you when it bites you, that it doesn't scare you. And basically once the snake is in your hands and it runs through your fingers for a little while, they'll start to calm down, and eventually they'll see you as, you know, not really a friend, I guess I would say, but they'll see that you're not a threat, and they'll probably chill out around you. And this girl, I'm not gonna like handle her right now because she does look like she is particularly hungry, so I ain't gonna get bit for no reason. I had somebody call me out in a video saying I was afraid of a California king snake bite, which is hilarious because I've been bit by snakes that are over 10 feet. So right here we got a hypoboa, really nice looking animal. As you can see, it doesn't look super friendly. Not super friendly, but these guys are so cool. I mean, as babies, they do this awesome like display with the hissing, and it's really a sight to see. I don't know if it's getting picked up incredibly well on camera, but these guys are actually like super vocal, and the sound that comes out of these guys for them being little tiny worms is pretty incredible. Now, these guys are typically just mean when they're babies. These are probably, to me, the best pet snake for somebody. When it comes to like availability, colors, and just character, You wouldn't know it by looking at this crazy little bastard, but they grow up to be some of the most tame animals. They get an impressive size, but not, I would say they don't get to a size that's unmanageable, at least not these guys, the BCIs. You know, typically a big girl is going to be about 7 feet, and a male quite a bit smaller than that. But I really like these animals. They're beautiful, and they're really easy to keep as well. So we got another one over here. Now this one seems to be a little bit more friendly. It's not totally spazzing out on us just yet. My shadow's kind of in the way here. But yeah, another boa. And now we start to get into ball pythons. This right here is a pastel orange ghost. Little baby. Animal's only maybe 2 months old. Eating a couple live meals, not on frozen quite yet. Orange ghost. Pastel orange ghost, sorry guys. Then right here beside, we have a little pastel spark that's about to go into a shed. So this right here is a puma maker. For those of you who don't know, it kind of acts like yellow belly, where basically if you put 2 sparks together, you'll get a super spark. Kind of like if you put 2 yellow bellies together, you'll get an ivory. But then also it works with yellow belly to make pumas. So that's pretty cool. Going into shed now, the spark actually does really cool, interesting things with the pattern. You obviously don't have the crazy yellow belly markings like you do with the actual yellow belly, but you can tell something is like kind of off with the snake, right? It doesn't look like just a pastel. That's that spark playing in there. That's a empty one. This right here I believe to be a puma, but I'll have to wait till it sheds a couple more times, because again, when you do spark and yellow belly combos, or sorry, I should say when you do like puma and ivory combos, you could kind of get like a mix of pumas and ivories, and they actually look pretty similar until the first couple of sheds. But this animal right here looks very orange, so I'm thinking it's a puma. Nice stripe going down it. In shed though, so who knows? When it sheds now, it might be completely stark white, and then I'll know it's an ivory. This right here, I'm pretty sure is a puma, just because it has that like kind of overall orange look to it, and then the head is a little bit of a different color. So to me, this animal does in fact look like a puma. Quite nice looking. It depends. Some people don't like these snakes with very limited patterning, but I think they're pretty cool. Right beside, we have an enhancement, which is a combo of the Desert Ghost and the Enhancer. Basically, this is a Desert Ghost. You know, I'm not going to try to BS you guys and be like, oh, an enhancement is different than a Desert Ghost. But, you know, it's 2 different lines of Desert Ghost, basically. The Enhancer and the Desert Ghost together, they make the enhancement. But it looks like a Desert Ghost. It's going to make Desert Ghost combos, and that's that. We have another one right beside it. This animal right here. You guys can see they're very nice, very clean. And these are just like the Desert Ghost gene by itself, basically. You could imagine that when you start to add in different morphs with yellows and such, that you could get a real bright animal. I mean, this is going to be a gene that the guys who, you know, proved out the Enhancer, I find they came up with a name that was better suiting to what the snake actually does, and that is really enhance anything you put to it, basically. Makes it brighter, more cleaner looking. And right here we have a Spectre Spark, and the reason is because I forget what we bred to make this animal, but we bred supers together. So we bred an ivory to a puma yet again, or it was an ivory to a super stripe. So, and clearly this animal is not a yellow belly, but I forget which father got the mother. So this is either a Spectre or a Spark. And again, guys, like I just explained, the Spark gene, the Spectre is the same deal, but you make super stripes instead of pumas, which, you know, I'll have to admit, super stripe to me is much more impressive. And yes, the The Spark, the Spectre, they're like the gravel slash asphalt. You know, for whatever reason, we have a Canadian one that's called a freeway or a highway. You guys know the animal I'm talking about, though. It might be the other way around. The American one might be the highway and the Canadian one the freeway. I forget, to be honest with you. Right here we have an animal that I would have to look back in my videos to see if I've ever shown you guys before, and that's this leopard female. Again, you know, we kind of missed the boat on a couple genes in the last couple of years just because everything was getting very hectic. We didn't know which direction we wanted to go with the breeding. So we held off on a couple of animals, but now we got a couple of key genes in the collection. This girl is super mean, unfortunately. So I'm going to try to get a little bit close to her, but you guys could see that we might have waited a little while to get a leopard, but this leopard is quite impressive if you ask me. Very heavily patterned animal. Not super friendly though, so I'm not going to bother her too much, but you got to love those deep blacks, and again, really nice patterning. Of course, she's just a leopard, so yeah, you guys are probably thinking, well, why didn't you guys get like a combo animal, you know? We fell in love with this one and we went with her. That's all I could say, really. So, a female leopard. This animal you guys saw a little while ago. It's grown considerably since you last saw it, though. This right here is our Orange Dream Spider. Quite a nice example of the morph, if you ask me. Very deep, rich oranges as the yellow background goes into the bottom white background. And you could see that Orange Dream just does such a cool thing when put to spider. I don't want to bother this dude too much. This is a male, and obviously we have his father, so this guy will be available in the future. Let us know, especially if you are within the country of Canada, if you're interested in this male. He's eating really well for us. No worries with this guy. Solid snake. All right. Now we got something that's a little bit of a break from those ball pythons, and that is, of course, our Angolan pythons. These things are out of this world. And here is the female. Quite a nice animal. They're a little bit nippy, but that's just because we haven't really been working with them so much as being hands-on. We just really want them to settle in. They're doing really well for us. They're eating well, so we don't want to, like, you know, mess with them too much and kind of get them off their rhythm. They came to us as live feeders, but we got them on frozen nearly right away. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I believe they were feeding on live. I would have to ask our buddy Khalil, who traded with us for these beautiful animals. But this right here is the female. I love the dark borders around the patterning that are on her back, and I just wish we could focus in a little bit, but you guys could see she's a great looking snake. All right, guys, sorry about that. Joseph came up, and there ain't gonna be any unscheduled cameos on my watch. Anyways, no, me and him just were talking a little bit about future projects, so I decided to like shut down the video for that little moment. And we got our male Angolan here, so we just looked at the female. This is the boy. He's a little bit more, I don't want to say mean. He's a little bit more nervous than the female, but beautiful nonetheless. So the female is actually prettier than him. I like the markings on her a little bit more. I find the black lines that border the pattern on him aren't as I guess thick as the female. Yeah, that makes sense-ish. So we're not going to spend too much time on this guy. Don't want to bother him. Don't want to freak him out. All right, let's look at our male Enchi clown. This guy's sitting pretty at the back there. You know, Enchi does cool things with clown. Obviously, it cleans it up quite a bit, as Enchi tends to do in most morphs. You know, reduces the pattern, makes the animal a little bit brighter. Let's bring this boy out to the front here so we can really appreciate him. As you can see, a little bit jumpy, but that's to be expected from a ball python of this size. Typically, once ball pythons are adults and they're a little bit more confident, they don't tend to be as jumpy, but obviously ball pythons, they get their name for, you know, coiling up into a ball rather than grabbing at your fingers. So he's living true to his name. Nice looking boy. I like this guy. But I like our girl that we're about to see here even better. Stinger clown. Spider Enchi clown. This is just about as reduced as you're going to get for a ball python, you know, without having a completely patternless animal. You could see here all but the line going down the dorsal is basically faded and gone. Has that one little marking there going up, but this is the animal that's probably going to lead our clown project in the future, which actually, now that I say it out loud, kind of sounds weird because, you know, typically a female isn't really going to lead any project. It's going to be the male, just because the male can be bred to multiple females. So if you're looking to start a big project, obviously you get yourself a good male, you throw them to multiple females, you start making lots more babies than you are gonna with just one female. And this girl here, she has an awesome feeding response. As I've said in the past, anything with spider in it usually feeds like an absolute beast. So she's looking right now for food. I don't got anything for her, so she's gonna have to live with the disappointment. But a great looking animal. We'll go to another good looking animal that we've produced, and that's the Orange Dream Spider Calico. And I mean, the calico just makes this animal really pop. You know, we looked at the Orange Dream Spider just before, and yes, he was very nice looking, but you could see this girl is just, oof, man, she pops. Love the pink sides on her, obviously, and she's just coming out of a shed. Let's actually, I mean, look at that. She looks like a highlighter of an animal. So let's take her out here and see if we can not appreciate her a little bit better. And as I say that, the camera makes her blue. Well, let's put her back here. At least here we're getting, you know, a better representation of what color she actually is. You know, love that flecking going up here. The reduced pattern obviously is crazy. You know, that's thanks to the Orange Dream. And then these sides are totally incredible because of that calico gene. You could see basically, well, as she leaves to go to the back of the tub, you guys can basically see that right where her belly begins, there's an orange line going down her laterally. I just find that absolutely beautiful. So it'll be cool to see this animal grow and eventually put her to some other cool looking animals. You know, I mean, if this is just Orange Dream, imagine if we decide to create the same animal but make it super Orange Dream, how much that thing would pop. So that's a great looking animal. The only animal I'm not going to show you guys today is the Butter Chocolate Het Ghost, just because he went off feed recently. Like, and when I say recently, I actually mean like he went off feed like, you know, maybe 5 months ago. So he looks kind of skinny. We moved him into the smaller rack because he was in the adult rack, and he wasn't doing good. So he doesn't look great. So I'm not going to show you guys him. We're going to figure him out, though, and he'll be in future videos for sure, so don't worry about him. But that brings me to a point, actually, because I have a lot of people that comment, oh, man, you keep these animals in drawers, what's the deal? So here's the deal. We live in a place where humidity comes at a premium. It's really hard to get rooms humid here, especially in winter. So if we were to keep our ball pythons in, like, glass cages and whatnot, we'd have even more problems than we already do getting these guys to shed properly. You know, at least in these plastic tubs, they hold heat and humidity a lot better than most type of caging. And let's be honest, guys, ball pythons don't climb, so height isn't really as important as overall space on the ground for them to move and stretch around. So we keep them in these bins until they get to about, I would say, I hate to guess like this, but like, you know, 500 grams. And then they get moved up to the ARS rack, which, as you guys can see, is taller and 3 feet long by 18 inches wide. Basically a 40-gallon, or all of a 40-gallon that a ball python would use, guys. Again, because they do not climb. They could climb, and typically if they're babies, when they're babies, if you do give them plants and stuff like that, they'll explore. Sometimes you'll see them climbing. That's probably more or less just because they're in a new environment and they're exploring. Once they become accustomed, it's kind of rare that you'll see a ball python climb. So anyways, like I was just talking about this guy, we moved him into something that was too big and he stopped eating. And this happens with baby snakes, guys. If you have a baby snake, don't put it in a 40-gallon right away. Go with something smaller. And then when you change your animal, when you upgrade your animal cages, expect something like this to happen where the animal stops eating for a little bit. Anyways, let's move on with the video. We're on our second last animal, and that is, God, this bin moves like garbage. That is this guy, the Candino, which is a candy albino. Lesser. That was a very long pause for no reason. But anyways, what do you want to say about this animal? Super cool. I find it really nice what the lesser does to albinos and obviously toffees, or I should say candies. Again, like I was talking before about the freeway versus the highway, the toffee and the candy are the same deal, guys. And they work with albino the same way as well. So, anyways, what lesser does to candy, toffee, toffinos, candinos, and albinos is really cool. You kind of see the lesser pattern bleed through like this, but the animal, rather than having more contrast, kind of like has two different types of orange and yellow going on at the same time. Makes for a really cool looking animal. So this guy, obviously, we're going to get some females. Ideally, we're looking for some candy females, but, you know, if the opportunity presents itself, we'll get some albino girls for this dude as well. And now that comes to the last animal. This is an animal that we produced. This is an update of the animal. This is an animal we produced in 2016. He is hopefully going to breed for us this year, and that is our Superfly Mochi. What a name, right? For those of you who aren't familiar with ball python terminology, this is a Superfly, which is a super pastel, fire, Mochi, which is Mojave, and Enchi. So this dude has pastel in him twice. So no matter what this guy is bred to, all the babies will be at the very least pastel. But he also has fire in him. So fire is basically the animal that makes the black-eyed leucistic, and it also brightens anything you put it with up. And it has Mojave in it and Enchi. So powerhouse of a male here. Bunch of different genes. And typically this guy is like a food fiend, and he's always trying to grab me as soon as I go in his cage. But today, for whatever reason, he is shy. So you guys can go back and look in the videos and see when he was hatched. Whoa. And you can see he has that super faded head. Really nice looking animal. His sister's a knockout too. And of course you guys will see her in the next Reptile Room update video, which will feature our adult ball pythons. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks and take care.